The level of choice as a parent or as a student that you have greatly depends on where you live in Canada. 50% of the provinces in Canada have policies that in one way or another empower parents to make choices about where their child attends school outside of the public system, if that's what they would like. And then when I say public system, I mean, your traditional public school, because there are innovative models of public schools that exist in Canada, unbeknownst to many people. It really greatly depends on where you live. So where you live in Alberta, Colin, you're going to have a lot more choice as a parent than where I live here in Nova Scotia, where your choice is actually very constrained.
And the key difference is charter schools, isn't it?
Well, charter schools are really they're one example of an educational choice policy that exists in Canada, and the reason why they're quite unique is because they are fully funded for parents in terms of tuition. So you don't need to have any additional financial capacity. Your child, if you're dissatisfied with your local public school or you don't want your child to attend your local public school for whatever reason, they can attend a charter school if you live in Alberta, where charter schools are allowed. And if there is no charter school in your area, these are really community schools. And so parents and community groups of educators or administrators or just members of the community, parents can start their own charter school in Alberta too. So these are autonomous public schools. They are public schools, but they are autonomous from the public school boards in Alberta, and they have a lot more flexibility and freedom to operate in a unique way and offer a unique model of education to children that want to attend that school. So there's not any sort of specific location tied to the school. You don't need to live next door. You can attend the school because you think that what they're offering is in their unique mandate fits your child. So they have a board, a community board, as I said, of parents. It's autonomous from the public school board. They're fully funded for operations, which means that there is no upfront tuition cost for parents, but they're not funded for capital, which actually poses a bit of a challenge for charter schools operating in Alberta. Which is sort of a whole other can of worms. But what it means is that it's actually more affordable for taxpayers on a per student basis to educate a student at a charter school. I don't have the number right off the top of my head, but there is a significant taxpayer savings in sending a child or educating a child at a charter school rather than at their local traditional public school in Alberta. And it's because of that difference in funding. And there's other differences as well. The teachers at these charter schools, they do have to be certified teachers. They have to be non-religious schools. They have to be nonprofit schools in Alberta. Now, charter schools don't necessarily have to function that way, but in Alberta they do. But they are not full members of the teachers union. So that's another difference in terms of the teachers. But they all, I think the most unique and interesting thing about charter schools is they all offer this unique charter upon which they operate. So there's STEM charter schools. There's classical academies that are charter schools. There's a rural community stewardship charter school in Alberta. There's an Indigenous education charter school in Alberta. Music schools, schools for gifted students, schools for students for which English is not their first or necessarily second language, or students with other mental health and educational challenges. These are all examples of charter schools that exist in Alberta that parents can choose to send their children to if that's an education that or a specific focus of the curriculum and of the education that appeals to them and their family.
So if you're a parent right now, and let's say if this policy was available in Ontario and you're sending your kid to the school where there was this issue with the teacher, you would have this choice where you could maybe send your child to a charter school instead. You don't have to pay tuition for it, and maybe that charter school offers a bit more of a traditional style of teaching. Is that right?
Oh, it could, for sure. Absolutely. There, you could have a charter school that has a more traditional style of teaching, for sure. In Ontario, if you had this model of community schools, then yeah, there would be a tuition-free option available to parents whose children were struggling for whatever reason in their local public school.